Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another discussion podcast with me and Dan. How you doing, Dan?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm all right. Did you have a good Christmas?
No.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that or no? Just let it
No.
go. Okay. So, welcome everyone to our end of the year 2014 game discussion thing. We're planning on doing two of these. One today, which is going to be us discussing games that we really liked this year, games that were really fun or really interesting, just something that appealed to us that we would recommend or that left some type of impact. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the opposite end of the spectrum, games that were soul-crushing, disappointing, made us want to just throw our consoles in the garbage.
Broke my heart.
Broke our hearts, made us want to quit gaming altogether. But that's tomorrow. Today, it's all about celebration of games that we love. Games are great, aren't they? Don't you love games? I love games.
I absolutely... Do we play games?
We play games so much. You want a high five? Let's high five. All right,
okay.
Wait, 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Fucking awesome. Internet 5. I feel like the Todd. What am I doing? Anyway.
This is a first for you, right?
What do you mean?
Usually you just do the end of the year, you make like your own.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a video, but to be honest, when I was looking through the list, there wasn't anything that really... This is going to sound negative, but there wasn't anything that made me go like, oh my god, people need to know about this.
There wasn't another Gone Home.
There wasn't. Man, like last year when I played Gone Home, I immediately knew this game, it's special, and it needs to be talked about. This year, though, I think most would agree that this was more of a year of disappointment and expectations in the sky and not being met. It happened a lot.
There were enough games that came out that it just made me want to sit down and read a book.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
I would probably listen to a book.
There you go. This podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com is the leading provider of audiobooks with more than 150,000 titles across all types of literature. It's the holidays, or the holidays are wrapping up. The New Year's coming. There's plenty of books to catch up on before the end of the year. You're probably still on vacation. I mean, people don't work through New Year's. I mean, unless you're at a mall. There's probably a lot of people that work. But, like, if you're not working, you could be like Dan here, who just loves to sit on his couch in his boxers, get a cup of cocoa, rest on his chest, because he likes the warmth, and listen to 50 Shades of Grey. If you would like to get a free month of Audible.com, which comes with a free audiobook of your choosing, then follow the link in the description below. Please sign up for it. It helps me out, and reading is good. Listening to reading, even better. It's good. It's great. It's a wave of the future. So the way that we're going to do this is I have made a habit of doing this throughout the year, where I make a list of games that I've played. Regardless of quality, just anything that I've played, I make a list. I go a step further and mark like ones I've played a ton of and know a lot about, and ones that I barely scratched the surface of and don't really feel qualified talking about. I asked Dan to do the same and make a list, and then I compile those together into games I've played, he's played, and games that we have both played. It's very complicated. There's a lot of science going on right now.
I use pen and paper.
I use Microsoft Word because it's not 1994.
I don't appreciate that.
Well, it's true. Future technology. Use your phone at least.
Whatever. I have my list. I've checked it twice.
It's too late. We can't know. That doesn't make any sense now. Christmas just passed.
Good point. I've checked my New Year's resolutions and I've checked them twice.
There is no Santa Claus.
Oh my god. You just ruined so many kids' lives.
When it comes to games, for the purposes of this discussion, a few caveats to get. Damn it! Hold on, nice. For the purposes of this discussion, let's just get a few. For the purposes of this discussion, there are some rules as to what qualifies as a 2014 release. So the game has to have come out in 2014. It cannot be early access. It has to be fully released, not a beta, not an alpha, not just some type of crazy idea that a developer has. It has to be available and fully retail. Why do I go too far? I go too far. I go too far.
I'll just say no early access.
You know, early access. Okay.
Just say no early access.
Okay,
No betas.
For the purposes of this discussion, there are some rules as to what qualifies as a 2014 release. So if a game isn't officially fully released, it doesn't count. So early access, betas, that type of thing. If a game is episodic and like the first episode just came out and the rest are coming out next year, that also doesn't count. That's a next year release in my opinion. And also remasters, while they might be discussed if they were remastered or changed in some way that was significant, they're not really going to get a lot of discussion or talk because they came out before. They came out like last year. So we're just going to quickly move past those. So with that out of the way, I've got this list in front of me. They're basically ordered by release date from beginning of the year to now, though that might be incorrect because I had to shuffle it around a little bit. And I'm not going to go through every game, just ones that stand out to me personally, and also Dan, because we've played a lot of games combined.
We have.
First off, a game I've played that I know Dan hasn't played and will never play, the Banner Saga. It came out.
Gonna play that?
What?
Why do you think I'm never going to play that?
Because it's strategy and
Good
action.
point. I am a dumb.
You're not running around with jetpacks and shooting stuff.
Oh,
Kevin
God,
Spacey's not even in it.
I love jetpacks.
So it's bleh. Anyway, Banner Saga, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Mostly love, because it's this really cool grid-based tactical strategy game with kind of the Oregon Trail in the middle of it.
I'm sorry, what?
So essentially the whole thing about the Banner Saga is you're playing as humans who also live in a world with like Norse gods, giant Vikings, I should say, not gods, but giant Vikings, and the gods have pretty much abandoned the land, or at least that's what the lore says. It's old-timey, you know, bows and arrows and stuff. And this wave of this like stone army comes and starts wiping out people and causing the apocalypse. And the entire game is moving a caravan from one side of the nation to the other. That's where the Oregon Trail part comes into play. And in between that, there are battles that are turn-based grid strategy games. So you're moving units, and you have to factor in armor and health. If you attack their armor, then their defense goes down, and you'll take off more health with every hit. But if you attack their health, that also corresponds to their damage output. So the more health you take off, the weaker the less they hurt your guys. It's incredibly interesting. It has incredible music. It's beautiful. It's animated in rotoscope. So what's the name of that? What is the name of that music video that South Park once referenced?
Chumbawamba.
No, with all the what? With the one where Kenny he there's boobs.
Heavy
and stuff.
Metal.
Heavy
Dude.
Metal.
It was the movie.
It looks like Heavy Metal. That's what the art style is going for.
That was a movie.
It's incredibly well written. There are tons of choices in that game, and you want to be good. Like, you want to be the good guy and like take everyone in that you come across. Because as you're going across the land in this caravan, you have supplies that you have to keep track of to make sure that your people live. Because there are times where you come across armies and you have to like send your people against the army. And if your guys have crappy morale, or if they're, you know, starving to death, they're probably not going to do all that great. So you have to try and maintain that as you move across the land. And as you're doing that, choices will pop up. And it'll be like, oh, hey, you find this guy on the side of the road, and he looks ragged, he's in these robes, and he's just asking for food. Will you help him? And like, yeah, I'm going to give him food. Oh, and then like 6 guys come down, and you have a battle now because it was an ambush.
Is the combat like Fire Emblem or Advanced Wars or something like that?
Sure. You know what?
Did you never play those games?
I never played them, but I know them. I have seen them. So Fire Emblem, maybe, because you're moving. Well, are those on a grid? Yeah, those are totally on a grid, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're moving characters along a grid, and you're trying to flank people, get people into good positions, and it's really interesting and really cool. It has a really intriguing story. Like I said, it's very well written. Characters are great. Not a lot of voice acting, but what is there is great. The one problem that it has, and I will say this now for everything that we talk about, while we are praising games, we are also going to point out stuff that might have annoyed us. These don't ruin the experiences, but we're just talking here. The Banner Saga is a 9 out of 10 game. The combat is brutal, but it's fair. When you fail, it's probably your fault. The ending,
old school.
the final fight, is not that. It is unfair. It just, you have to bash your head up against it. You have to turn the difficulty down, and even then, it's just unfair. It stumbles so hard with the final fight. The odds aren't in your favor. You're fighting this thing that can kill you in one hit, and it regenerates health. It's not fair. It's brutally it's not challenging. Challenging is not the word, because challenging implies like, oh, there's balance and like strategy will win the day. No, you bash your head against it for 2 hours like I did, and then maybe you win.
How many times did you scream at your TV?
A lot. So that game is a 9 out of 10. Then the ending happens, and it's an 8 out of 10. Like, that, it leaves such a sour taste in your mouth. It's not cool.
Isn't that how final battles are supposed to be, though? Like, they're supposed to be like
Tough.
the culmination of everything.
I understand. No, like, I'm not chastising the game for being hard. The game is hard. The entirety of it is. But when you're up against these crazy odds, you always feel like you can make it through if you strategize well and plan your shots and keep distance away from the enemies. In the final fight, just, there's a ton of enemies on the field, and then there's the main boss who is incredibly powerful, can kill any of your guys in like one hit, and he regenerates health. And then you do something to make him not regenerate health anymore, and then he kills one of your guys, and then the second phase of the battle happens.
Oh my god.
And then you have to fight him again with respawned enemies, a man down. And if you fail that second sequence, you start over from the beginning. It's not fair.
Did you ever play True Crime Streets of LA way back when?
I do not know what that has to do with this.
I'm just remembering, like, because you're talking about how like difficult this was and how like
the final like melee boss fights.
Yeah.
They're
with
bullshit.
The guy, that was so bad.
Well, there were 3.
So was it like that?
Was it with the zombies?
No, I'm talking about the one where like the plane crashed and like it was you and the guy at the end. Like
Yeah.
That final fight seriously soured the whole game for me. Just like, and it wasn't that good of a game to begin with, but that I got through it.
I liked it a lot. Snoop Dogg was in it.
But that final fight, well, he was also in Ghost, so that doesn't say much.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did do that.
But I know
sure.
what you mean.
Sure. It's the one area in that game that I think completely detracts from the experience. And it might not be, like, this game is like 10 to 12 hours long. So you might argue that that one last part shouldn't, like, sour the rest of the experience. But it's the last thing you do. It's the final moments. It's what sticks with you. And the rest of that game is so well done that I wish that didn't happen. I'm sorry if that went on too long and it just sounds like I'm bitching, but I do love the Banner Saga. I would recommend it if you're into that type of game. And they also have a free-to-play, not free-to-play, I shouldn't say that, just completely free multiplayer mode where you can just have the combat against other humans if you want. You don't have to own the game to play that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can just go download it and play it if you want.
Maybe I'll try it out.
So, Banner Saga, great game. Stumbles at the end, but still, fantastic game. Dan, if there's something you would like to go with, we'll do this back and forth. Why not?
Okay. How about this one came out early in the year, and you did a few live streams of it. Loadout.
Loadout. Okay.
Loadout was fun.
Loadout is super fun
and free
and gory.
Yeah. You can walk around with like a chunk missing out of you, and then you
can walk around with
yourself.
your everything but your brain missing.
I had fun with that.
It's incredibly fun.
We played it.
I
mean, admittedly, yeah, there is that problem where, like, if you do actually spend money, you can boost your weapons.
It is free to play done almost perfectly.
Yeah.
But as a free to play game, it's just incredibly fun and satisfying to run around. I think that came out on PS4 just recently, actually.
Yeah, I think I saw it on the list when I was making this.
But this Loadout is incredibly fun. It's incredibly fast paced. The only issue I have with it is that if you do spend money, you do get kind of an advantage because you're leveling up faster.
Yeah,
and those
levels actually do
as you level up.
Those levels make a difference.
Yeah, but the weapons, you can customize weapons, build your own thing to your liking, and that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I remember I was making a lot of the weapons that shot the balls, the spike balls, and I kept
that
saying,
was the one. That was like the weapon. I basically just had 2 of them that I switched between.
Oh yeah,
like 2 of the same weapon. Laser. I also used a laser weapon. That was kind of cool.
Why do we not play that anymore?
I don't know. We should.
Does that have Xbox controller support?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Oh, then it's going down.
I'm pretty sure it does.
It is going the fuck down.
But that Loadout, it's a great free-to-play game. It's an example of how to do that right.
There's not much even to say about that. Like Banner Saga, you know, it had like a story and everything, but this one has no story. It's all just multiplayer, kill each other.
It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's incredibly fun. And there's no reason not to play. It's free. It's freaking free.
If you don't have it downloaded, why don't you go download it now?
Go download it right now. Go play. It's fun. It's really, I enjoy it. Next game, a game that Dan loves. Loves more than life itself.
Do I?
Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's so good.
I love that. Peyton just got it.
What?
Peyton got it for
Peyton
Christmas.
doesn't like shooters.
No, but he got it.
He doesn't like multiplayer.
Peyton likes shooters.
Not really. Not competitive.
But he got it for, it was like half price for like the New Year's thing.
All right.
So he got it. Mike absolutely loves that game. How do we even describe this?
It's the first game that I got the full 1,250 achievement points on my Xbox One with.
It is a completely multiplayer game. There's no story.
There is a garden. There's like a tower defense. Not tower defense. What am I thinking of? Horde mode. There's like a horde mode defense.
Yeah, there's a horde mode defense, and then like oh my god, they took so much from fucking Call of Duty. You know, they have like a kill confirm mode. They have a
do they? What's kill confirm mode?
It's called like Vanquisher confirmed or something. Whenever somebody dies, they drop orbs. They came out with one that's just like domination, where there's 3 points and you got to capture it. But we always just played Gardens and Graveyards.
That's Gardens and Graveyards is the main mode, which
That's
is basically
Rush.
It's Rush. And
It's Rush.
why the fuck don't more games do Rush? Rush is so fun.
It makes me want to play Battlefield, actually, to be honest.
Well, maybe.
Okay, maybe not 4, but
Yeah.
they fixed it.
But the thing that I like is that EA, especially last year, was catching a lot of flack. Plants vs. Zombies, though, man.
They treat the customers right. There has been so much DLC for that game, and it's all been free. A lot of it has been, you know...
Sponsored.
It's
like, hey, here's this new creature brought to you by Aquafina Raspberry. Like, okay.
Or fucking Cheetos, the Cheeto chomper.
There's a Cheeto?
Yeah, dude. Fucking the scientist is like the Cheeto scientist, and then the other one's a Cheeto chomper, and he spits cheese instead of that purple goo.
Ew.
It's an amazing... Oh, my God. I love that game so much. And now that Peyton has it, I'm sure we're
It is a ton of fun. And you know what? Like, there weren't microtransactions in the launch. There are now. But they're handled well. They're completely optional. And, like, they're legitimately optional.
You don't need them.
Could I pay $5 and get some coins? Yeah. Or I could play, like, 2 matches, and then I've got them. Done. Same amount. It's not a big deal.
And those of you who haven't played it, it's almost got a Team Fortress type vibe where there are different classes.
You want to know what really... I mean, there's a bunch of different classes. There's a bunch of different, like, sub-classes to unlock within those classes.
Yeah.
When you get the random sticker packs. But you know what actually makes that game really stand out? Is that in a day and age where all of the shooters are, like, hard, gruff, military, fucking yeah.
Everything's brown.
Everything's brown. It's so bright and happy and cheerful. You're killing people and being like, yeah, it's awesome.
You get killed by a sunflower and you can't even be mad because the sunflower looks so happy.
Big fucking smile on its face. And as it spits, like, it like makes a spit lip as it shoots you. Fucking fun. Game is really fun.
That is
I played the shit out of it. I didn't play it at launch. Dan bought it and was like, dude, you need to play Plants vs. Zombies. And then I, like, ruined my sleep schedule to get all of the achievement points in it.
I played that to death.
It's really fun. I would highly recommend it. It's $40. It's cheaper than a normal game.
Actually, I think is it still on the gold deep discount right now? For like the next few days?
I don't know. This is coming out, I think, on the 29th.
Oh, so like if you're hearing this, like you don't have much time.
If you're hearing this and you have an Xbox One, because they recently announced they sold 10 million of those, so now there's 10 million Xbox Ones on the market. Plants vs. Zombies, man.
I looked it up. It's not on there.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Still,
but
$40. Do it.
We literally, it was well worth the money.
We played it to death because it's all Dan wanted to play for weeks.
Oh, shut up!
He'd be like,
it was great.
Hey man, do you want to go like play this other shooter? Like, or we could play Plants vs. Zombies. How about that? Does that sound good? Fine. Hey Dan, you want to like play this like this strategy game, or we can apply strategy as plants and fight off zombies.
And we didn't even bring up customization.
Tons of. Well, I mean, I mentioned the subclasses, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, like each class is like a subclass with like a different thing. Like you could be a fire pea, you could be an ice pea, but like you can put funny hats on your pea. It was a really great like
It was a
seeing that
surprise.
game. Yeah, seeing that like a lot of us. I remember thinking like, how is that gonna be? Because the Plants vs Zombies that we were used to before was just like on the iPhone or on Xbox Live, just that tower defense style. But like it actually translated very well into that.
When they first showed it, I remember thinking like, oh, I mean, that looks like it'd be stupid fun. And you know what it is? It's stupid fun, man. It's so fun.
And it's for kids.
Yes, actually, that's a good point.
It's a shooter for kids.
It's a shooter for the whole family.
Get it? It's fun. I have Titanfall on here.
Yeah, man. We just spent a lot of time talking about a multiplayer shooter.
Yeah.
Another multiplayer shooter.
This one more for an adult age.
It's not that bad for. I mean,
the worst that'll happen is you'll snap somebody's neck,
and you'll turn into Raspberry Jam if punched by a Titan.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So here's the thing about Titanfall. I know I haven't played it in months. I'm sure I don't think you've played it in months.
And I got the season pass because it was super cheap, but I haven't even.
Yeah, I mean, the main criticism that I've heard a lot of people say about Titanfall is there's not enough there. There's not enough guns. There's not enough maps. There's not enough content in general. And you know what? Yeah, I can agree with that. But it is the most fun first-person shoot because Plants vs. Zombies just got talked about. It is the most fun first-person shooter, multiplayer-wise, of the year, hands down. It's incredibly fast-paced. The parkour is great. The shooting feels great. The hit detection is perfect. Titans are satisfying to use.
You feel like you're in fucking Gundam Wing.
When you're in a Titan, you feel powerful, but as a pilot, you don't feel like you're fucked. If a Titan shows up, you can take it on if you know what you're doing. It just feels so damn good.
You can get screwed over by a pilot when you're in a Titan just as easily as a Titan attacking another Titan.
Yeah, riding on the back of a Titan, using the rockets effectively. And I like the addition of the grunts. The fact that there's AI guys running around, which you can play a playlist that doesn't have them. But I like it adds this MOBA element to it where you're just are you bad at shooting humans? Here's a bunch of AI for you to shoot. You can still contribute. You can still help out your team.
It makes it feel like there's also more going on.
Yeah, because all this stuff is running around and people are shooting at each other and you'll come across these little scuffles between soldiers. It's not like they're not intelligent. Like they're dumb.
Oh, they're so dumb.
They're just gonna stand there.
There's nothing more satisfying than getting the smart pistol and walking around the corner and there's a group of grunts and it locks on all of their heads and you pull the trigger once and it's just like bat 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 bat.
It's the most fun I had playing a multiplayer shooter all year. Is there a lot of content there to keep you coming back? No. Like, that's where it kind of falters. Something like a Call of Duty, say what you will about it, but there's tons of progression, and you feel like you're constantly unlocking stuff. In Titanfall, there's like, 10 guns? And 3 Titan differences? And then there's the campaign. The campaign is it's shit. It's not
a campaign.
It's not a campaign. It's a radio play over the multiplayer.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been there. It is a waste of time. You have to play it to unlock the Titans, and then no one ever touched that afterward. Nobody went, oh, you know what's really compelling? The story in Titanfall. That sentence has never been said.
The burn cards were kind of cool. That was a cool concept.
Burn cards were a great concept. They give you just these little buffs, and if you die, they're gone. This game is so good. I feel guilty that I haven't played it in months. I played it a ton. I think it was the first game you played on an Xbox One.
Yeah, well, that's because I got the Titanfall bundle.
And we were playing it a ton. And every night we would log on and shoot people together. And we were at the top of the leaderboards a good amount of the time. #brag.
I'm surprised how many people actually generation, basically prestiging. I'm surprised that many people did that up to 10. Granted, every time you did, it actually gave you a little boost in XP.
So it went a little faster.
Yeah, but still, I got up to what, 2?
Did I get up to 3? I might have done somewhat up to 2.
Yeah.
But it was so fun, but at a certain point, you're just replaying. Now, to their credit, they have been adding stuff. That game looks completely different now than it did at launch. They've added stuff that arguably should have been there to start. Like, they've added some customization and a horde mode type thing if you just want to play with 4 people, like some co-op. What else did they add? They added the ability to like give away burn cards that you don't like for points, which then you can use to buy things for your Titan and the emblems. So they've been adding to it. You know what I think will be awesome? Titanfall 2.
Oh yeah.
I think take that core gameplay, which is it's so damn good. It's fast. It feels amazing at all times. Add more on top of that.
This was a good first entry.
It's kind of the definition of a first like generation game.
Yeah.
Nail the gameplay, not enough content. The sequel, I'm hoping, will keep the rock solid, awesome gameplay and just, give us maybe 20 guns, more stuff.
Think about how different that could be too. Like you see some of those first like here's the entry game and the second one comes out and it like blows the other one away.
I'm trying to think of stuff off the top of my head and I can't.
The only first I can think of is Halo and Halo 2. The multiplayer was dramatically different.
Yeah, well, that like kind of ushered in Xbox Live or console multiplayer to a degree. But like Titanfall,
but it was still a difference between the gameplay.
Titanfall was so fun. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh man, that looks great," and it felt great. I was so happy. And I played it nonstop for like 2-3 months, but it just doesn't have the legs to keep me coming back to it anymore. But I'm not going to delete it. I just have it on my. If we ever get the hankering, I have it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll probably do that at some point.
I just realized we've talked about 3 shooters in a row. So instead, how about a little licensed game known as South Park: The Stick of Truth?
Oh God,
that game should not have been good.
What are you talking about?
Okay, I follow development stuff. You don't. That game was in development for years. It went through delay after delay. It used to be with THQ, and then they exploded, and then it went to someone else that I have forgotten. That game, and also it's a licensed game. They don't have a great pedigree. And South Park games, they don't have a great track record, man. Like the tower defense one?
Yeah, that one was good.
That was great. But that is like an exception. I have nostalgic for the N64 shooter, but it's not a good game.
That should be remade.
No, it shouldn't. It's not a good game. And then the last one was like what was it called?
Tenorman's Revenge.
Tenorman's Revenge was shit. So South Park, I was optimistic, but I was cautious. Holy fucking shit! That game was awesome.
It was a very, very long episode.
It was a great season of South Park.
It really, that everything like that could have happened in a season.
Some might say it was pandering to fans, and you know what? Yeah,
that is completely fine. Like, maybe I'm biased because I'm a South Park fan.
I'm behind. I'm like 3 seasons behind at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not keeping up with it as much as I used to. I used to religiously watch South Park. Everything I saw about the game, like, it looks like an episode, and I was hoping I expected kind of it to be funny, but not a great game. And then I saw the gameplay, and I was like, I mean, it could be fun, but I don't know. And I played it. Now, as an RPG, if you compare it to other RPGs, is it short comparatively to other RPGs? Yeah, it's like, 10 to 12 hours? So for an RPG, you might consider that kind of short. Is the gameplay pretty simple and not all that difficult? Yeah, but you know what? It's really goddamn satisfying.
Oh my God.
The powers are great.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Do you know what it reminds me of?
What?
Fucking the original Paper Mario on the N64.
Never played it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it had that style.
Except, Mario is a family-friendly charm. This is a completely...
In this one, you fart on dead babies.
You fart on people. You fight zombie Nazis. You fight fucking aborted fetuses.
There is an achievement.
You fight gnomes while people have sex around. It's so weird.
There is an achievement called Too Far ? And in order to get it, you have to fart on an aborted Nazi zombie fetus.
Right, that does happen. Holy shit.
Like,
that game is full of awesome,
so dark,
memorable, fucked up moments. I feel so bad for anyone living in Europe.
Well, and here's the thing, too. You were talking about how you hadn't watched it in a while.
Uh-huh.
But there were still things that were references to early seasons.
There were references in the dialogue. There were references in the characters. The background is loaded to the brim with references if you look for them.
You could find Chimp
Plot
Pokemon.
Points. Yes. The Chimp Pokemon were a collectible.
Yeah.
Plot points in that game are references. The ending is fucking awesome. I don't really want to give it away. But the ending is incredible.
you could find like just a bunch of junk and sell it, and one of them was Alabama Man. That is a really old reference. Actually, that was a Chim Pokemon episode.
Yeah, it was Alabama Man.
Man. Wow.
Beats his wife in bowls, I think. Was that? I feel like that's right.
It was amazing.
It is a love letter to South Park fans. That's also an incredibly entertaining game.
It's one of those things where you can clearly tell that Matt and Trey had 100% control over that project.
Oh, absolutely. They were heavily involved. And it shows remarkably well in the writing. Did you watch the Game Awards?
No, I didn't.
Trey Parker won for Best Voice Actor of the Year because he literally voices like every fucking character in that entire game.
Well, yeah, because he does the voice he does all the voices in the show.
He went on stage and went, "I love video games because this is the only medium where I can beat out Kevin Spacey for Best Actor." He voices like hundreds of characters in that game. It is so good. It's so fun, and I like the combat. We haven't really talked about it a ton. It is very simple. It's only 2 party members at a time, you and another person, fighting off waves of just increasingly ridiculous enemies. There's simple attacks, but they make it engaging because they have like a little timing mini game in there.
Yeah. Like, once again, like Paper Mario or Mario RPG, any of those where it's like, if you hit A at the right time, you're going to do more damage, or you're going to critical hit, or you're going to do something.
And when you do a special attack, like you do movements with a controller, like when Kenny's riding it on a unicorn and shit, you're hitting buttons.
Oh, so good.
So it keeps you engaged in the combat. The combat is simple, but you're constantly engaged in it. And
I want to play through that again.
I kind of do too. And I know that the game is, by RPG standards, kind of short. So, like I said, it's 10 to 12 hours, but it is a densely packed to the brim with content 10 to 12 hours. There is not a wasted minute in that entire time. I found Jesus in that game. Literally.
We all found Jesus.
I found him. He was hiding in the church.
The Christmas critters are in the game.
The Christmas critters are in the game. The gnomes are in the game. The underwear gnomes are in the game. Basically,
Canada?
Do you remember something from South Park? It's probably in that game somewhere.
Canada?
Al Gore's in there. Man Bear Pig's in there.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
It's fantastic.
But Canada was like retro.
Yeah, Canada was like a retro 8 or 16-bit RPG land, which was awesome.
Just remember, never fart on a man's balls.
But make sure, when you go to Canada, to fart on all of the characters you come across, because there's an achievement that you can completely miss if you don't.
And don't get dire AIDS.
And also, you don't get dire AIDS. That's also very good.
They're like AIDS.
But dire.
But dire. All right. I feel like I should stay away from shooters, too. This one, heard a lot about. Was interested in it just because I heard other people talking about it. And actually got to play it. I'm talking about Shovel Knight.
Ah, yes.
Holy crap. See, I played it on the 3DS.
I played it on the PC. Same game.
Oh, my God.
Now, I will say, I am not a big fan of, like, retro 2D platformers, just because they're really not my thing. Platformers in general really aren't something I play with. I enjoy them fine, but I don't seek them out. But Shovel Knight, it is a throwback. It is made with absolute love for that genre. It's an incredibly well done one of those.
It has so many aspects from like other games too. Like, you feel Mega Man style. Mm-hmm. You can feel a little bit Castlevania. You can feel Zelda 2. Like, all of that just kind of mishmashing together to make this, like... I honestly think it's, like...
It is a love letter to 8-bit.
Yeah,
and it has some of the best chip tunes.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I love. I do love that we can have, like, these new games where it's, like, crazy 3D graphics and everything, but I like when companies now, in 2014 and 2015, I like when companies just go, hey, we're going to do an 8-bit style game. Like, Mega Man 9 and 10, I mean, we were way, way, way past, all of 2D shit, but it's nice when you can go back, and it is a lot more functional than games back then. You don't have to, pop out the cartridge and give it pop it back in, see if it'll work. or like it's not devilishly hard, or they had to skimp on colors because the NES palette was really limited. Like they can actually do a lot of stuff and still make it look great.
Shovel Knight, like you said about difficulty, Shovel Knight is not. It's not hard. It's difficult but fair.
You had
some
a hard
parts
time
are hard.
with it.
I'm just bad at that type of stuff, and it's my fault.
You are so bad. Like
I'm just an idiot. I'm gonna jump at the thing while the thing flies at me, and then I fall into a pit and I die, and all my money goes away.
The worst.
It's challenging but fair. It was my fault. Whenever I died, I'm that type of idiot that like if I die like 4 or 5 times, I'm like, this game is fucking me. But no, I can admit I'm just not great at those types of games.
You could see when it's like I remember watching you trying to get past that part with the vomiting dragon.
The rainbow statue?
Yeah.
That's just an awesome idea. Here's a statue that when you hit it, it makes a rainbow bridge. It's great.
You can walk on.
You can walk on.
Disappear fast.
Also, stuffed with secrets. They're everywhere, and you're gonna miss most of them.
Also, Butts mode. Remember Butts mode?
No.
Where if you type in your profile name as Butts, then like every noun in the game is replaced with Butts.
What? Okay. Sure. Why not?
Butt night.
I'm okay. I'm not touching that. Hey, can you grab my 30-foot pole?
It was fun. That was a
You
great
plowed through
game.
it. You plowed through it.
Well, here's the thing. I got it when I was at RTX. I downloaded it off of the hotel Wi-Fi and I was playing it on the plane flight home. So like
that was a fast plane ride.
No, actually, because we got delayed, so I had a lot more time to play with it until my battery died.
That is a bummer.
But it was, it made it a lot easier. It was a great game. On the 3DS, there were some 3D capabilities, like it would make the background look like it was further away. On the PC, it had, controller support. It's a tight game.
Now let me ask you. I think it is a great game. It is a love letter. It's incredibly well made. What does our resident Mega Man expert Mike think of it? Because you made him play it. What's his rating? How does he compare it to Mega Man?
This is me, like, I definitely need to release those videos. I've been
you do. You got Shovel Knight Let's Plays that are just sitting there.
I do. Well, that's just because I had some problems with editing, and then I just gave up. Mike, he actually really had a lot of fun with it. Like, at first, he needed to kind of learn how it worked.
I love whenever he's digging up treasure, incredibly satisfying because Shovel Knight, haha, you have a shovel, so haha, you're just digging up stuff. Yeah. Just every time he did this, oh yeah, like.
Well, 'cause, it feels good when treasure pops up.
Hunting for gold.
And what a weapon, like a shovel, like seriously, that's what you're using.
Why not? Their girlfriend uses a shield. It makes sense.
You can get the armor, and it can change stuff. You never got the gold armor, but it just makes you jump.
Makes you
all
double
fancy.
flip. Like.
Yeah, you look really fancy doing it.
It's kind of pointless.
But yeah, so Mike really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I would put that one as one of my top ones for this year.
I don't know if I would myself, but like
maybe I just have nostalgia glasses.
Well, I've played those type of games too, but I didn't really. I'm not a huge fan of them because I'm not great at them. Like, Mike is insane. Mike is like, I'm going to run through Mega Man 8 and not get hit once. Are you
Mega Man,
what?
That was 9.
Who cares? Either way, it's a stupid
thing.
It's a stupid goal.
Oh, no, that was 10. That was what it was.
Wait.
He got that achievement for
right.
beating Mega Man 9 5 times in a day.
So he's a crazy guy who I don't know if he'll play Shovel Knight 15,000 times because he doesn't own it. But if he could, I'm sure he would.
Oh, probably. I mean, I played through it. I tried playing through it on hard mode, and the hard mode is pretty fucking hard.
I've heard it called like a modern day classic and a game that in like 5 or 10 years people will look back on, and I can agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
The next game is part of a franchise that's been going on for a long time, and I've been a fan of since I was a kid because it was one of the first shooters that I ever played. Wolfenstein The New Order, which came out this year. Nobody was expecting what it delivered. I don't think you played it. You didn't play it.
I didn't play. I watched a lot of videos on it.
Here's the thing that's shocking about Wolfenstein The New Order. Now, when it comes to those type of games, you expect like a well-made shooting experience, and it is that. It is kind of old school in its design, probably on purpose. So there's not a whole lot of meat to it. It's a run and gun. You can dual wield stuff and shoot Nazis like crazy. That type of game. Here's what I didn't expect from it, given its pedigree. It is stunningly well directed and has characters.
They came out with one a couple years ago, didn't they?
They
and
came
that
out
one
with
wasn't
one,
that good.
They came out with one on the 360, and I thought it had some cool ideas, and I liked it for what it was. It did not set the world on fire. It wasn't fantastic, but it was all right. It was a solid experience that I enjoyed. This one, though, I am shocked. It's made by a new studio that's comprised of the people who made The Darkness back on the 360. Did you ever play The Darkness?
I played the demo a bunch, but never actually played the game.
Damn it, Dan.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So, if you know anything about The Darkness, you know that has a lot of style and gives a lot of focus on its character. Wolfenstein does the same thing, which is odd because it's a freaking Wolfenstein game. You don't expect that. Like, the other games have had stories, but they boil down to the Nazis are bringing back ghost Nazis. Let's get them. And that's all that was. Or demon Nazis. And that was the end of it. But Wolfenstein The New Order, like, you're playing as BJ Blazkowicz, you're still him, and you're fighting, you're trying to go after this bad guy who I think this is actually, like, an actual sequel to, like, the last couple games. I think these all take place in the same timeline. Because I think you're going after this scientist guy, and he captures you and has you dead to rights and has you, like, choose, like, which one of your friends for kill. It's an incredibly well done and, like, surprisingly chilling sequence. And depending on who you decide to let live of your two friends, the game will change a little bit, and cutscenes will be different, and characters will be available in one playthrough that aren't available in another playthrough, so there's replayability. But the whole crux of that game is that BJ, I can't say that without...
Really?
Yeah, is that BJ Blazkowicz...
We're mature.
Yeah, we're adults. But the whole crux of that game is that you get injured, you have, like, a serious brain trauma, and so you're kind of in a coma for, like, 14 years, and because you're not around to kill all the Nazis, they win World War II. And so it's this alternate timeline, 60s, the Nazis are in charge, and it does so many cool things with that time period. Like, and depending on the playthrough, you'll experience this character. There's, like, this black musician that hangs around your compound, whose name is Jay, and it's totally Jimi Hendrix. And so you're hanging out with Jimi Hendrix, and he has, like, this really good character moment. Like, he's not in the game a ton, but he has this, like, really good character moment where you, like, walk into his bedroom and you're fucking with his guitar, and he's like, hey, put that down, man. And then he gets into this discussion with you where he's like, you guys are all talking about how you were oppressed, now the Nazis are evil. Well, guess what? You were the Nazis, motherfucker, because I'm black. And then they, like... They kind of hug it out, and then he's like, hey, you want to do some LSD? And then you totally do LSD with him while he plays guitar and shreds like crazy.
So this is a good version of that one game. I don't remember. It came out, like, years ago where it was an alternate universe where the Nazis won. I just remember the trailer of, like, Zeppelins coming in with, like, swastikas on.
Well, that's not uncommon. That's like every third month they release one of those.
Good point. But, like, a lot of those games kind of fall through. This one, you know... sounds like it was actually good.
It's shockingly well directed. Now, like, some of the characters are really fleshed out and are really either interesting or deep, which, again, it's a Wolfenstein game. Why is that? I don't understand how they managed to do it, but they did. It looks, the gameplay, it's satisfying. You run around, you're shooting dudes. That works. That's fun. But the thing that really makes it stand out is it's not so much its story. Its story is all right, but the characters and the direction and the cinematics, they're so good. That Wolfenstein 3D Easter egg is great.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
I love those old school Easter eggs.
That game deserves more recognition than it got. Like, when it came out, like, when this new Wolfenstein game was coming out, a lot of people were like, it's a new Wolfenstein game, whatever. And then it started getting reviewed, and people were like, actually, this is, like, surprisingly great, and I was shocked by that, and it sticks in my mind because it was such a surprise. I was expecting, like, a fun, like, mindless shoot-'em-up, and I got that, but it also has heart, which I did not expect. And so, Wolfenstein, I would recommend people playing it because it's really interesting. And it has a bunch of, like I said, it does a bunch of cool things with the setting. So, like, you'll find news clippings around, and you'll find, like, these like, vinyl albums, and the music is, like, what would music be like if the Nazis had won World War II? So you find these albums, and one of them has, like, this 4-man group with this German name, and if you translate the name, it says the Beatles, and so you're reading these articles about how this famous band that was up and coming was forced to learn German or die and sing Nazi propaganda songs, and they have one of them in the game about the moon. Like, it's great. There's also a Nazi moon base, but it's great. You go to the moon and you fight Nazis.
I like how you just say that, like, all nonchalant, just, oh, there's a Nazi moon base.
That's happened before, right?
Nazi
moon base. Seriously, though, I recommend check it out. It's a cool game.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about Smash Brothers. Because
which one?
I played. I have the 3DS one because I don't have a Wii U. Actually, yesterday, Peyton bought the Wii U version, and first off, I want to say the Wii U version looks
it does. I've seen it.
So good. But also, it was fun because we had 7 people there, and we were playing an 8-player Smash. We had like 1 computer in there, and it gets so hectic. It's what you want in a Smash
chaos.
Game. It is. You really have to keep track of your P1 or whatever player you are. Like, you have to keep track of that because if you're not paying attention, you're probably going to walk off the cliff by accident. But like, if you had a battle with like Ike and Marth, and it was just a bunch of those Fire Emblem type characters, you would lose yourself.
By the way, I should probably point out now that between the two of us, Dan has an Xbox One, an Xbox 360, and a PC, and a 3DS.
And a Wii.
Who cares? And a Wii.
Aww.
I have an Xbox 360, a PS3, an Xbox One, a PS4, a PC, a 3DS, and I just got a Wii U like a couple days ago, so I haven't played really any of this year's releases on it. I know there are great games that came out this year on the Wii U that I should talk about, but I have not played them myself, so I can't. So I just want to get that out of the way now that Nintendo's been brought up. There's not going to be a lot of Wii U discussion because I just don't have any experience with the games yet. I have them. They're sitting right there. I want to play the shit out of Bayonetta 2, but I haven't yet. So I know that should probably be on some type of list because I played the first half hour of it, and that game is fucking banana sandwiches. The first thing you do is kick a Harrier in the fucking air, ride the Harrier, fight a monster on a train, which gets hit by an angel sword, and then you summon a fucking demon out of your hair portal, and then it eats the other demon, and then the demon goes out of control, so you grow angel wings, and you fight that dragon demon that you summoned, and then when you kick his ass, you summon a bigger thing to eat it. So I want to play more. That game is probably the bestest thing ever made by human hands, but I haven't played any more of it. So, comes to Wii U stuff, I'm not going to really be able to comment on it. Okay?
Wow.
So, just want to throw that out there.
And I mean, you can comment about this because you've played Super Smash Brothers, at least one of them.
I played it on the N64, and back then I was a kid, so I could literally play anything over and over and over and over again, even by myself, just playing with the AI. I didn't play the GameCube one. I tried the Wii one, which apparently is like kind of the black shit. Like, people like it, but it was like a lull year, I suppose.
Wow.
So, like, I tried playing it, and I wasn't really enjoying it, and then there was one time when I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he came over to my house, and we played a multiplayer match, and then fun happened, but that was the only time. So, I haven't really played Smash at all since the N64 one, really.
Wow, you have been missing out, man.
I don't have people to play with. Those games are built on their multiplayer.
Here's the cool thing. If you had a 3DS, because some of your fans have 3DSs and have Smash, and we've exchanged friend codes, and there have been an occasion or two where we've hopped on and just beaten the hell out of each other through Wi-Fi.
Fun.
It's pretty fun. The characters are great. For some reason, everybody wanted Mewtwo to come back, and everybody shitting their pants that he's coming back. The levels are so beautiful. The music is... it's so good.
Did they do what they did with only because I just got a Wii U. I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 3D World, but that came out last year. But a lot of the music in that game was like done by actual humans with instruments and orchestras. Like, is that what they did with Smash? Or is
it seriously sounds like the original music. Or like they have like remixes of music.
Well,
like
for each
they have
stage, like the Zelda one is.
Yeah, well, they have like a Mega Man 2 remix, which I'm sure if Mike ever heard that entire thing, he would probably
actually
see him in everywhere.
Doesn't that game have like a shitload of unlockable tracks? Like you can unlock all the tracks from the original game and remixes, and just it's stuffed to the brim with all Nintendo music.
I'm not talking. I don't know if it's if I can unlock it. I know I can go into like a sound option and they're all there. And if I start playing a song and then go to the main menu, it's still playing that song.
All right.
But I remember in the Wii version, like you could collect, CDs during battle, and those would be available. But I have not seen any CDs. Mostly just trophies, and there's customization for your characters now. Like you can change up like what their attacks are
because of amiibos.
Yeah, the amiibos thing. I asked Peyton if he was going to get an amiibo, and he was just like, why would I do that? And I was just like, because you can make a
That's exactly the response I would expect out of Peyton.
But we were having so much fun yesterday. We were playing on like the Super Mario Galaxy map, and I was Larry Koopa, one of the Koopa kids. And it was the most fun just driving in his car, just mowing down everybody in my way. And I had a childlike smile on my face.
I wish I had like a group of friends in my area that I could just be like, let's do Smash now. I had that. There was like a gaming club in my college, and all they did was play Smash. There was a gaming club in my high school. All they did was play Smash. That was the entirety of their activities.
It's therapeutic.
Is it?
Yeah, beating the shit out of your friends. Come on now.
You can do that in I could shoot you in like multiplayer shooters.
Yeah, but it's not as fun. Like I could be.
Well, you can't be Pikachu when you do it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I want to go back to Peyton's house and do that again.
I wish I had friends.
Aw, buddy.
I think most of the games we have left on this list are games that I have played and you have not. So I feel like for the rest of this, it's going to be the Craig Hour, where I just talk about games and you sit there and go like, yeah, that's a game.
Go on.
All right, so I'll go through these. I'll try not to go on tangents, but it's me, so I probably will anyway.
Of course.
All right, so Valiant Hearts: The Great War. It's a World War I puzzle game with a very cartoony art style, but at the same time, it doesn't get away from how fucked up war is. Like, it does a really good job of contrasting, like, these are cartoon characters running around, and they're exposed to mustard gas. And people die, and people explode. Not into, like, piles of gore, but, like, people are getting shot by machine gun fire, and people are getting hit with mortars and falling over. And it's fucked up. I don't know if you know this. World War I was fucked up. A lot of terrible things happened to humans in that war.
That sounds awful.
It tells this personal story. Like, you play as, I think, 4 or 5 different characters. And there's one overarching story where, like, someone's son-in-law gets drafted and he's on the German side, and then the father-in-law gets drafted and he's on the Allied side, and so they're trying to, like, find each other while also fighting on opposite sides of a war. He plays a medic who's trying to find her father. The only places where I think the game stumbles is, like, it does a great job with the setting. It doesn't get away from how messed up war is. And if you want to use it as, like, a teaching tool, it actually does a really good job of teaching stuff. Like, there are collectibles you can find, and they give you insight about the war and what sides were up to and what the equipment that they had was and what its purpose was. It's really cool. It's a really cool game.
Do you think that teachers could ever assign people to play that?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it as a good teaching tool, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
This is one of those things that can be used as an argument that games are art, right?
Maybe. The only places where I think the game stumbles is that one, like I said, it does this really good job of contrasting the cartooniness and the horrors of war. But there are times when it goes for the cartooniness. Like, there's a main villain that a lot of the characters are pursuing, who is like this super stereotypical, fat, laughing, eating sausage and drinking beer admiral. He feels incredibly out of place with everything else that's going on. So that's one knock. Some of the puzzles, the puzzle elements, they're not really difficult, but some of them drag on for far too long. Like, I get it. I have to pull this switch and then go, fuck, there are 3 more switches you want me to pull. I know why we're here. Can I just move on, please? And there are also parts where, like, you're running through mortar fire, and it paints on the ground where the mortars are going to land, but sometimes it's way too quick. Like, you don't have the reaction time to get out of the way in time. So it's like, oh, there are mortars firing. Get out. Oh, you're dead. And then you have to restart, and now you know where they are. It just interrupts the flow, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But if you want an interesting game, if you're at all interested in that time period, even if you're not, if you just want a cool game, it's just a cool game. It's a war game that's not about, like, jetpacks and yeah, explosions are awesome, right? Michael Bay. It's not that. I would recommend it. It's a cool game. It's a different type of experience, so consider playing it. I don't think we've had one of these yet. Of racing. Forza Horizon 2. Racing game. I didn't play the first one. I didn't play Forza Horizon 1. When it comes to the Forza series, I'm not really big into simulation racers, which is why Forza kind of appeals to me, because it does a great job of holding your hand and being accessible to anyone. Also, it has a great vinyl creator, but that's not in Forza Horizon 2. It melds an open world arcadey racing game with the tight simulation-ish driving controls of Forza. And it's just really fun. It's a great, like, podcast game. Just do some races, listen to whatever, listen to music, watch Netflix on the side. It's a great one of those. It's a very well-made product. If you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one. If you've never played the first one, you'll probably like the second one even more. It's repetitive in some ways. Its structure is pretty repetitive. But if you just play it every once in a while, play a couple races while you're doing other stuff, it's a great game for that. I really enjoyed it. I actually don't know this about you, but do you like Lord of the Rings at all, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, I have never played a lot of Lord of the Rings games. I watched The Old Hobbit. I've watched the new Lord of the Rings movies. I've seen the first Hobbit movie. I haven't seen Desolation of Smaug, but sorry.
Smaug.
Oh, people get so mad at you if you say Smaug. It's Smaug. I did play, like, the RTS a long time ago.
All right, so I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
I don't care.
That's like saying you don't like Star Wars.
I understand that it's an influential thing. It has basically defined what fantasy is. I've seen the original Peter Jackson trilogy, the Lord of the Rings movies. They're well-made products. They're way too long, but they're well-made things. I can appreciate them on that level. I'm just not a big fan of everything that's going on there. So Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is why I brought this up. Middle-earth is... It's Lord of the Rings, like fucking Smeagol is in there. Smeagol? Gollum.
I think it's Smeagol.
No, Smeagol is the other Gollum, right? Shit.
They're the same thing.
I know. My precious.
Oh, don't do that.
No.
Please don't.
Anyway.
Wow.
That's pretty good. I'm proud of myself for that. So, it's in the Lord of the Rings universe, but that doesn't really matter. Because you're running around and you're fighting Orcs. They're fucking orcs, but whatever. Orcs. And essentially, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor is what Assassin's Creed wishes it could be right now. It is the traversal and the open world exploration of Assassin's Creed with the Batman combat. Like the Arkham games. So you get into these huge scuffles with like 20, 30, 40 Urks, and you're building up combos and executing and chopping heads off. It's the Batman combat, but it's violent and brutal. You are stabbing things in the throat. You are chopping off heads. You are blowing heads off. It's so brutal and visceral and satisfying to just mow through fucking orcs, because you have all of these great powers. So you have crowd control. You can instantly kill stuff. You can slow down time and fire arrows. It is the Batman combat. It is straight up a copy of the Batman combat, but it's very well done. It's an incredibly well done type of game like that. The Middle-earth stuff is there. but it's not intrusive. Like, there is a story, there is a through line. I've heard the story isn't great. I actually haven't beaten it. I've gotten pretty far. I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. But the story apparently isn't all that great, and the game ends poorly. But actually playing it is really satisfying. There's also stealth, like Assassin's Creed. You can sneak around Uruk camps and try and like poison their meat and sneak up and do brutal executions on people. But the thing that kind of makes that game stand out is its nemesis system, which... So basically what that is like there's an Uruk hierarchy. So there's captains, and then chiefs, and then war chiefs, and they're more powerful, and they have different abilities and less weaknesses the higher up they get in the chain. And so you basically work your way up the chain, taking out these war chiefs and gaining intel on them and trying to figure out the best way to take them out, because some are immune to stealth attacks, while some die instantly from stealth attacks. Some are immune to combat finishers, while others aren't. Some hate fire, some run in fear of fire, like all that stuff. And what's really neat about it is, like, if you are fighting a group of Uruks and you just get your ass kicked, the Uruk, this random guy in the middle of 50 orcs, the guy who kills you, who lands the killing blow, he is then promoted and made into a named Uruk who moves up in the ranks and can potentially become a war chief. He can potentially become, like, the leader of these Uruks if he gets far enough. And when you see them, when you see one of these, like, you get into this clash where you're like, you clash swords and you're like staring each other right in the face, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And if he does, and if you see him again, he's gonna be, because your character is like, he got sacrificed and he's entwined with a ghost, Lord of the Rings shit. So he's immortal. Like, he can die, but he will come back. That's what your character, like, they have a reason for the respawn. They have like a story reason. So, like, if he kills you and then you see him again, he'll be like, I thought I killed you, right? Well, guess I gotta do it again. And if you come across one that just keeps kicking your ass, you just have this need to fucking stab him. Like, you want to kill him. And if you die, stuff is happening in the world too. Like, you can intervene. Like, Uruks are constantly trying to move up the Nemesis chain and get promoted and become more powerful. So they'll challenge each other, they'll ambush each other, they'll execute each other, and you can intervene with that and, like, decide who lives, who becomes more powerful. But if you die, then the events just play out and stuff just naturally keeps progressing. And then it's a really fucking cool system. And I'm at the point now where you can actually mind control the Uruks. You can mark them, or brand them is what it's called, and take over their mind. So if you know what you're doing, you can mind control a low-level Uruk and then work him up and make him a war chief that you are in charge of. And then he listens to you, and all of his troops are yours. It's really cool. The one problem I have with that game is that because, like, you know, you're fighting 30, 40, 50 Uruks at a time, you kind of need a lot of... You need to pay attention. You can't really button mash because, like Batman, there are ones with shields that you have to jump over. There are powerful ones that you can't hit and you have to stun first, like that type of thing. And you don't really get all the tools to your at your disposal at the beginning. Like, they force you to play a while and level up, so it takes like 3 to 4 hours before you really feel like you can take on groups of people, which means you're dying a lot, and that's really frustrating. Granted, it lets the Nemesis system show off what it can do, but it's incredibly annoying that you have to bash your head up against the game for a little while in order to make the combat, like, a lot more fun and fast-paced than it should be. It really should be that way from the start. But other than that, it's a cool game. On its own, it would be a really well-done, competent third-person action game, but with that Nemesis system, it's really cool. It's a really neat idea that I want to see in some other game. It's great. I like it. I like it a lot. One game I didn't actually expect myself to enjoy as much as I did, Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, God.
Crimes and Punishments. I like the Sherlock movies, the ones with Robert Downey Jr. The Sherlock TV show with Benedict Cumberbatch is great. It's one of the best shows ever. But when it comes to Sherlock Holmes games, I never cared. I have a friend who's played some of them and, like, really likes them. but I've never cared. The new one, though, Dan, when I told you I was playing, you were just like, what? Why are you doing that?
Something else. I don't even remember.
Stuff. What are you doing? You wanted to play something with me. Was it Plants vs. Zombies?
Plants vs. Zombies.
It's weird. I don't know. It's weird. But the thing that I really like about it, it's a well-made detective game. But while previous Sherlock Holmes games, from what I've read and from what my friend has told me, they were all linear. Like, here were the clues, you find the clues, here's the bad guy, next case.
Ace Attorney?
Yeah, sure, kind of like Ace Attorney, except, those games are ridiculous and elaborate. And anime.
Objection.
Oh, objection. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments? Like, there's a mystery, and you go around talking to people and looking for clues, but the game leaves you to deduce stuff on your own. You find the clues, and then you figure out who did it, and you can choose wrong. You can just make the wrong assumption, because it brings you into this menu that kind of looks like brain synapses that connect, and you choose what conclusion to reach. Like, for example, in the first case, there's this guy who got murdered in his shack, and at the end, at night, someone tries, like, you scope out the crime scene, and someone, like, tries to break in to the murder scene, and you come across him, and when you talk to him, he tells you that he's looking for something. He's looking for some document. And you can choose to decide whether or not he is just a victim of bad circumstance, he had nothing to do with the murder, and he just happened to come here at the wrong time, or he killed the guy and is coming back to retrieve a piece of evidence. You decide whether or not which one you want to believe. At the end, you get all the clues, and you can stare at that deduction screen as long as you want and change your conclusions and try and figure it out. But all of them kind of make sense. Like, all of these deductions. Some cases only have, like, 2 or 3. Some have, like, 5 or 6. But you make your choice, and it doesn't tell you if you're... It doesn't tell you the correct answer. It tells you if you can hold down a button, you can just skip it and move on and live with whatever you chose. Or you can hit a button and it will be like, you were right or you were wrong, but it won't tell you why. The problem with that, the one problem I have with it, it's super cool, it's well written, the cases are interesting, the conclusions, like, usually all make perfect sense, and so you're debating yourself and you're questioning your logic constantly. Even something you were so sure of, you're no longer sure of by the end of the case, and you're debating. I have sat at that screen for like an hour trying to figure out and piece stuff together. The one problem that I have with it is if you choose to, like, see whether or not you were right or wrong, and you're wrong, you can just call a mulligan and go back and select a different answer. You don't have to use logic. If you want, you can just keep making deductions until it's like, all right, you got it. Good job. And that kind of takes away from it, because there's this whole, like, you know how in the Walking Dead games, you do a choice, and then it shows your choice a percentage versus other players?
Yeah.
It does that in Sherlock Holmes with your deductions. Like, you decide who the killer is, and then, in theory, it's supposed to give you a percentage of, like, here's how many other people decided this guy was the killer, so you can compare. The problem is that it doesn't count that until you've confirmed your choice, so you just go back and mulligan, and just keep hitting all the different deductions until you get the right one, and then you can be like, oh yeah, that's totally what I thought the first time.
I'm smart.
So, like, the first case that I screwed up, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna live with the choice. So I clicked it, and it was like, you and 3% of players. Like, bullshit, 3% of players. And then I went back and selected the right choice, and it was like, 97% of fuck you. Like, they should lock that in at the start.
People aren't being honest.
People are being so dishonest. You are not Sherlock Holmes. I can admit when I'm wrong. I haven't beaten it. I will say that. I've gotten 4 cases in. I am 2.5 for 4. I completely got 2 cases right. I botched 1, and I got 1 half right because I selected the right person but the wrong murder weapon. So I'm counting that as a half.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is there?
Because, like, I had to choose between various daggers and people, and so I chose the guy but the wrong weapon. So, still. And at the end, you can choose whether or not they get punished or whether or not you let it go. So, like, if you find out that someone, like, killed a guy for beating the shit out of his wife, you can decide, like, he needs to face justice, or you can go, you know what? He deserved it, so you let the guy go. That's up to you. That's hence the punishments part in the title. It's a cool game. And it's probably not going to be for everyone, but if you like detective stuff, if you like adventure game type stuff, I would recommend Sherlock Holmes: Crime and Punishment. It's a good time. Hey Dan, did you like Far Cry 3?
Never played the original.
Oh, what?
I only played
Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon.
Dude.
I know, I'm way behind. I know Far Cry 3 was amazing, and I know what you're gonna say.
Here's the difference, me and Dan. I play a lot more games. Dan plays the games that he has more than I do.
I do.
Like, he milks games he has for every cent they're worth. I play stuff and I'm like, hi, I really like that. Oh, what's this over here? What's this other shiny thing? And then I move on.
Yeah. I have that problem.
Well, if you liked Far Cry 3, or Blood Dragon, I guess, then, man, let me tell you about Far Cry 4. It's more Far Cry 3. So, moving on. No, it is very similar to Far Cry 3. It is, like, there are outposts you can take over. There's a bad guy who's like crazy, played by Troy Baker, which I'm pretty sure if I went through this list, I could probably name like 17 games that have Troy Baker in them this year. The combat is as satisfying as it was. The bow and arrow is still awesome, and it feels really good when you nail a guy in the head from like 50 feet away. Story stuff is better in 4 than it was in 3, although really everyone is a despicable piece of shit, and I guess you could, I kind of call that bad writing. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be the good guy in every game. Spec Ops is a great example of a game where you're just a piece of shit, but it's really well done. In Far Cry 4, everyone's just a fucking asshole. Everyone's just the worst. The bad guy, Pagan Min, like the guy on the cover, he's the nicest fucker in that game. And the first thing he does is stab a guy in the throat. And then take a selfie with you. So he's pure evil. Let me take a selfie. Pure evil. Piece of shit.
I got a question about it.
All right.
How big is the map?
It's pretty big. There's like, you're kind of cut off from half of the map. There's a south and a north. And until the story says so, you can't go to the north. But it's pretty big. Like, there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of there's the main story. There's a bunch of side objectives. There's, like, this, you can go to Shangri-La and do, like, some weird fantasy stuff. You can hang out with dudes and get high and trip out.
Oh.
It's great. And, like, there's fucking bears running around everywhere. It's great. It's fantastic. It is more Far Cry 3, but Far Cry 3 was awesome, so I'm okay with more of that. I didn't play the multiplayer. People like the multiplayer. I played a little bit of co-op. And that was fun, and we were just messing with each other and blowing each other up, and that was a good time. Throwing bombs at rhinos, that was great. Lot of hunting. Fuck them. There's so many animals.
You sound like Jimbo from South Park. Like,
there are
coming right for us.
You have no idea. They're coming right for us. In Far Cry 3, there were animals, and they would sometimes get in your way, like you'd be stalking an outpost, and then, oh my god, there's a wolf, get off of me. In this, there's packs of wolves, there's packs of foxes, there are eagles that you're just walking around and you just hear, caw, and then just eagles in your face trying to eat you. There's honey badgers are assholes. They don't give a shit.
Honey badger don't care.
They attack, they are so relentless. They bite at your ankles, and it takes a surprising amount to kill them. They're resilient little bastards. They suck. But that game is incredibly fun. It's just as good as Far Cry 3. If you liked 3, if you want more of that, Far Cry 4 is where it's at. I don't think they can get away with it a third time. Like, they should probably mix it up more for Far Cry 5. But 4, on its own, it's a great game. It makes some improvements to 3, and it's more of greatness. So I would recommend Far Cry 4. And I'm going to end with a game that Dan should have played, and appeals to Dan so much, and basically is a game that there are hidden cameras around Dan's house, and this game was made based on the footage that they gathered from him. And that's Sunset Overdrive.
I'm gonna play it.
I do not understand how you haven't played it yet.
I'm gonna buy it.
It is so goddamn fun. It's like the most fun I had all year, to be perfectly honest with you. It's so fast-paced. The weapons are great. It's so bright and colorful and in your face. It's got a great punk aesthetic. It's pretty funny at times. Sometimes it's trying way too hard to like get in your face. Like there are legitimate points in that game where like the main character is like, boy, the guys on NeoGAF aren't gonna like this. Like, shut up. Like that's shut up. That's too far. But some of them are just, some of the jokes are really funny. It's a lot of fourth wall breaking humor. It's a lot of references to other games and mechanics and franchises. But it's just, it's so fun and over the top and stupid. I don't know how Dan hasn't played it.
I want to play it.
Why didn't you?
I don't, because I don't have a lot of money.
It's arguably the best exclusive across, well, okay. People will fight me on the Wii U thing. It's arguably the best exclusive between the Xbox One and the PS4. No joke. So good.
I will play it.
You should have played it already. It's so fast-paced. The traversal is great. Grinding on rails, leaping around, dashing around. It takes a little while to unlock your full mobility, like air dashing. So for the first like couple hours, it's like you're jumping around from point to point, and sometimes you're just a little short on your jump and it kills your momentum. But then they give you an air dash and that goes away. And then they give you like a ground pound that lets you just trampoline off the air, or trampoline off whatever you land on. Like if you ground pound to the street and you hit a button, you just shoot right back up. So you have tons of mobility. There's tons of different weapons and amps, which are power-ups. And as you build up your style by doing well and doing combos and stuff like that, you unlock more and more amps. So like the first level gives you a passive ability. The second level gives you a more aggressive ability, and so on and so forth. It was one of the most refreshing games I played. After, man, all of the broken crap that came out during the holiday season, Sunset Overdrive is so good. It's so satisfying. You should have played it by now.
I'm going to.
It's so great. I love it. I found myself going and doing all the challenges. I got golds on a lot of the challenges. Like I would play them over and over until I did them right. I want to go back and collect a lot of stuff I missed, and it's so good. Oh, so good. Oh. I can't stress enough how much I love Sunset Overdrive. It's so goddamn great. It might be like my favorite game of the year, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, like it sticks out of my mind. There's not a dull moment in that game. So the biggest gripe I have with it is that sometimes it is trying way too hard. Then you laugh at something really hard. You laugh at a reference or something like that. That game is so good. I highly recommend it. Yeah, I think that's my favorite game of the year. What would be yours, Dan, of your list? I think I know where you're gonna go with it, but I'm not quite sure.
It is a Where's my list? Where's my list? Found it. Got it. It was on the floor. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Good place.
Shut up. Probably in between Plants vs. Zombies and Shovel Knight.
That's exactly where I thought you were going. If gun to your head, which one?
Plants vs. Zombies, probably.
Yeah, you play that a lot.
And I mean, there's other things that we haven't like talked about that came out.
There are games that came out that maybe we liked, but we didn't love. Like, we played them and we were like, oh, that was an alright experience. But they didn't grab us in a way that some of these other games did.
Like DLC or...
Yeah, between the two of us and remasters, like, I'll just say it, The Last of Us Remastered, that's a game that came out last year. It was highly revered. People love The Last of Us, think it's the single greatest thing ever made. I disagreed. I thought it was a great game that was overrated. The remastered version, it runs at 60 frames a second. I played through it again, improved my experience. I like that game more. I still don't think it's the single greatest thing ever made, but I like that game significantly more having played it on the PS4. And Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto came out.
Oh, great.
They added a shitload to an already great game. The first-person mode stuff... We're going to get heist soon! That's going to be great! The first-person mode stuff alone is incredible. There's so much work that's gone into that update. It's great. But those are games that, well, technically they're remastered. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
But
or like DLC, like Burial at Sea Episode 2.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't count that because it's DLC. for the game that came out last year. But
and
Dan
you need to
loved it.
fucking play that.
I do. I own it. I just haven't played it yet.
Dude, get on that shit.
Now, please realize that if you have listened to this whole thing the whole way through, thank you. I hope that you were like doing something else with your time and just had us as noise in the background. But between the two of us, we can't play everything. So there's going to be games that we missed. Like, Dan doesn't own a Wii U. I just got mine, so there are tons of games that came out this year on the Wii U that just I can't talk about. I haven't played them. Bayonetta 2 is sitting right there, and I want to play it. Seriously. That intro. Whoa. But
also, we're just people, you know, like these are just our opinions.
We can't play everything. It's impossible for us to do that.
There's going to be somebody in the comments who's just gonna be so mad. There's gonna be somebody in the comments who's just like, "Why is Call of Duty not your favorite game ever?"
I mean, I don't know if Dan's gonna talk about that on another discussion.
Oh,
we'll see.
Do I have
see.
words?
Like, you know a game like people might be wondering where it is. Dragon Age Inquisition. It won the Game Awards Game of the Year. People have been talking about that game nonstop. I bought it. I've played it for like an hour, so. Yeah. That's not enough time to justify
If we wanted somebody to come in and talk about it, we'd have Paige in here because she has been playing that nonstop for the last like 3 weeks.
She's an RPG fan.
She's a Dragon Age fan. She is an RPG fan.
I bet she went after Iron Bull.
I don't know what that means.
If someone looks up Iron Bull sex scene on YouTube, you will have a fun time. Voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Remember, he was a character in Mass Effect 3. So, guys, that was our little chit-chat about some of our favorite games of this year, games that left an impact that we thought were really fun. We will be doing another one of these. I'm shooting for tomorrow. I'm hoping that we can get it done and out from when you're hearing this. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the opposite end of the spectrum. We're going to talk about games that were disappointing, because arguably, 2014 was the year of disappointment. It was the year of expectations just not being met in any way, shape, or form. Games being broken dead on arrival out of the box. I look forward to that discussion a lot more, to be perfectly honest.
We'll figure out a time between
I love Salt.
Halo 5 and shit.
Yeah, we got to play that beta a bit. Game of the year, Halo 5 Guardians beta. Who knows? Maybe that's an accurate statement.
If it works.
If it works, I'd be surprised. But we will leave that discussion.
Crossed.
If your favorite game this year wasn't discussed now, maybe you have bad taste and it'll be discussed tomorrow on the disappointing games one. But I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us ramble for a long time. I don't know how long we've been going, but it's been a while. Thank you, Dan, for hanging out and talking about some games.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
Listening to me talk about games you've never played or heard of ever. Yeah. But we will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. So, bye-bye.
Bye.